Before I talk about summiting Norway's 377 2,000 meter peaks in 68 days, and before I tell you why knee osteoarthritis is not necessarily a life sentence, let me take you back to the summer of 2024. I was running on the beach in Varberg, Sweden, and it was an ordinary jog before breakfast, fasted running, and I run 4 to 5 times every week. I love it, partially because it stimulates the low-carb, glycogen-depleted environment that I encounter at high altitude. It's adaptation. And then I fell straight into the sand. The pain was instant, excruciating, sharp. What the hell just happened? An MRI answered the question far too quickly, and the orthopedic surgeon looked at me and he looked at the images and he said casually, "I advise you to never run again." That wasn't a blow. That was a stab in my heart. Running is my lifeline, my number 1, 2, 3 tool for alpine climbing. For the first week, I panicked. I was 47 years old. Was this it? Should I take up cycling? I mean, let's be honest. Nothing compares to the life-affirming and primal joy of running. The second week, something else happened. I refused. I contacted universities all around the world. I read every research paper I could find, 3D printed cartilage, genetic therapies, stem cells, and most projects were stuck in lab rat stages. The stem cell options that existed were expensive. Fly to the Bahamas, inject hundreds of million stem cells into the one knee, repeat for the other. I refused to let go, not of running and not of climbing, because at the same time as I was wiping the internet clean of miracle cures, I was planning my next adventure. I wasn't satisfied with how I left high-altitude expeditions in 2019. That year nearly destroyed me. An amoeba infection, I was peeing blood, vomiting, shitting simultaneously, and lost more than 10 kilos in a single week. It was not heroic, it was humiliating and unfinished business, as Bilbo Baggins once said.
I want to see mountains again. Mountains, Gandalf.
People who climb understand this pull. People who don't rarely do. Why we climb is a question for another episode. I needed to get back on the horse, to feel the wind against my cheek, to fight sleep deprivation, to make hard decisions on exposed rock, to enjoy miserable weather, to be beaten and rise again. Not to prove anything to others, but as a form of respect to myself, because I still believe something deeply unfashionable. Hard work should pay off. So what was Norway 377 2,000 meter project like? Truth be told, when I started my goal to finish all peaks within 1 year, even that felt ambitious. But after the first week, remember sitting on a rock, my knee were screaming bone against bone, and I asked myself, is this vanity, foolishness, borderline insanity? Yes, probably all three, but it was also a gift, an investment in a soul that was starving for closeness to nature. Sure, you can enjoy the world through postcards, but I don't want to look at other people's postcards and photographs. I want to take them. This is an invitation to you as well. Take calculated risks, because risking nothing is the biggest risk of them all. Still, 68 days, a marathon a day, up to 3,000 verticals meters climbed and descended daily. There were moments I wanted to quit, many, but I didn't. I am, as it turns out, a very stubborn man.
Third summit for today. Whoop. I mean like this.
Here's where the story takes a turn. In parallel with the project, I underwent stem cell treatment at SLS clinic in Stockholm. No magic, no hype, just science. 2 months later, the MRI showed something extraordinary. My cartilage had regrown up to 1 millimeter in some areas. For osteoarthritis, that's not good. That's exceptional. The lesson? The body is not static, it adapts. If you give it the right stimulus, patience, and respect, the same is true for the mind. When people hear 377 mountains in 68 days, they often focus on the number. I don't. What stays with me are the moments between the summits, the moments where quitting felt logical, responsible, even intelligent. Because, let me be clear, the project hurt, not metaphorically, physically. There were days when my knees felt like they were being ground down with sandpaper. Every downhill step a negotiation, persistent enough to wear down optimism. And yet, here's one of the hardest lessons I've learned, not just in the mountains, but in life. Pain does not automatically mean danger. Sometimes it means adaptation is underway. We live in a culture that panics at discomfort. We label everything as either healthy or toxic, safe or dangerous. Reality is messier. Progress lives in the gray zone. The art is learning to distinguish. 2. Injury from discomfort. Progress lives in the gray zones. The art is learning to distinguish injury from discomfort, damage from fatigue, warning signs from resistance. That discernment is not taught in comfort. It's earned through exposure. Another lesson became painfully clear. Motivation is unreliable. Systems are not. On this project, I didn't wake up every morning feeling inspired. Most mornings I woke up depleted, stiff, and sometimes worried. So I didn't rely on motivation. I relied on process. I knew exactly what to do when my mind started negotiating. Focus on the next 10 meters. Execute the step in front of me perfectly. Shrink the horizon until it became manageable. This is how big goals are survived, not by heroics, but by obedience to the process. And perhaps the most humbling lessons of all, you don't conquer mountains, you cooperate with them. Weather decides, terrain decides, your body decides. Ego has not a vote. Every single day requires acceptance. Acceptance is not weakness, it is a tactical intelligence. The moment you stop fighting reality, your energy returns. That's true in the mountains, and it's brutally true in business, relationship, and health. So let me say this clearly. I am proud that I finished Norway's 377 2,000-meter peaks in merely 68 days. I pursued this project despite intolerable knee pain. I pursued it while doctors told me I should stop running. I pursued it while searching relentlessly for answers to knee osteoarthritis, refusing to accept a verdict that didn't sit right with me. And today, the evidence speaks for itself. My cartilage has regrown, not because I was lucky, but because I stayed curious, persistent, and willing to surrender responsibility for my own body. That fight changed me. It reminded me of something I never want to forget. Authority is not truth. It is at best a snapshot of current understanding. Progress belongs to those who keep asking better questions. Right now, I'm more motivated than ever. Not less, more. More hungry, more disciplined, more willing to train, to suffer, to prepare. 2026 is shaping up to be one of the most exciting chapters, I think, in my life. I will be part of building a brand new ambitious museum in Stockholm, a place dedicated to exploration, perspective, and human potential. I will distribute, and this is so fun, the awe-inspiring IMAX climbing film Girl Climber across Nordic countries, a story that deserves the biggest screen possible. I will also finish what may be the most important documentary I've ever made, When Mountains Call Again. A film not about summits, but about return, about purpose, and why we choose to keep going. This summer I'm heading out on a crazy secret adventure one I'm not ready to talk about yet. I'll also be competing in ultra runs across Europe. I'll return to Nepal next autumn to explore unclimbed peaks and unfinished questions. And here on this channel, I will continue to serve you stories of adventure, science, philosophy, and perspective. Stories that doesn't anesthetize, stories that wake you up. So thank you for watching, for following, for walking this road with me. If 2025 taught me anything, it's this. Limits are rarely where we think they are, and the cost of finding out is almost always worth paying. So see you soon.